And at 10, Sinister Turmoil, Sewers. Sinister Turmoil was planned to be a full release game. However, the full game never really came to fruition. Mangle was planned to be the main antagonist of the game, where they were using the name Prototype Foxy. However, while the whole game wasn't released, we managed to get Sinister Turmoil Sewers instead, which is a snippet of what the main game would have looked like. In the game, you are trying to escape a Freddy Fazbear amusement park when your friend says to escape through the sewers. However, when you enter, you realize that Mangle has been set loose in the sewers, which leads me to believe that your friend is up to some fishy business. Perhaps he is William Afton. The game from then on is very reminiscent of the corn maze from the Curse of Dreadbear DLC. I've played through that minigame and the two are very similar. In Sinister Turmoil, which did come out first, there's a cupcake that follows you around, and if you don't look at it for long enough, it decides it's going to scream like a child, and it will alert Mangle to your location. In Corn Maze, there are clusters of crows on the ground in random places, where if you step on them, they scare the hell out of you and alert Foxy to your location. By the way, that's the worst part of that game. It's terrifying. The main antagonists of the game are versions of Foxy, Mangle in Sinister Turmoil, and Grim Foxy in Corn Maze. I think someone got their ideas elsewhere, Scott. In at 9, Five Nights at Candy's. Five Nights at Candy's is the first in the series of 5 Candy's games that include 4 main titles and then a final remastered version of the first one. After Freddy Fazbear's closed for good, it's clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment, so Candy's decided to take their shot. What could go wrong? The gameplay is similar to that of FNAF, however you have the added ability of having night vision in the cameras, and they added a 3rd floor in the form of an office window, which adds more complexity and difficulty to the gameplay. The first game includes 13 characters, including the beloved phone guy, obviously a different one, but we all love the phone guy, and the main title character of Candy with her merry band of animatronic killers. Cindy, Blank, Chester, the Penguin, damn it Batman, I thought you had dealt with him, Old Candy, the Rat, Vinny, Shadow Cat, Origami Cat, and the Easter egg Markiplier animatronic. Who do you think the king of FNAF is? Let me know below. It's MatPat. Come on. And at 8, The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is for sure one hell of a clever name. T-Jock has a unique viewpoint because you play as the one and only Danny DeVito. Sorry, I meant Scott Cawthon. Autocorrect. Created by Nixon, the story is set after Scott ended the Five Nights series. After he does, however, the animatronics start attacking him because they want to take what he took from them, their lives, in the form of the games. After the production of another game was cancelled, the game transitioned into The Joy of Creation Reborn. The game has several modes, including the original survival mode and a newly added story mode. The game features ignited versions of the old animatronics, and they look straight up terrifying. This is one of the scariest games on the list, and the story mode is the most terrifying game mode out of all of them by far. Even looking at the trailer gives me the heebie-jeebies. And at 7, One Night at FLUMPTY'S. The game drill description for this game is, the game is an inside joke. There's no backstory, no meaningful undertones, nothing to theorize about. It's just for fun, so have fun. And after dealing with this series for 7 years, we know that there's always a story. There's always something to theorize about, okay? We just know it. This wonderful fan game includes characters such as Flumpty Bumpty, Birthday Boy Blam, the Red Man, Eyesore, Grunkfuss the Clown, which is the real Eyesore, the Beaver, Golden Flumpty, and the Owl. The game plays similarly to FNAF, with relatively similar mechanics. However, there's a hole in the wall where Grunkfuss the Clown can pop out of, and the game appears as if it's all hand-drawn, which can make the game appear slightly less terrifying, but it also makes it more personal and can give you more of a personal connection to the game if that's what you're looking for. And if you want to theorize about it, I'm sure that there's something you can. There's got to be something to be found, right? We need to get like a community together to form theories for these games. It has to happen. We gotta connect all the FNAF fan games to the lore, somehow. Please. Please. Set up a Discord. And at 6, Final Nights 3, Nightmares Awoken. Final Nights is absolutely terrifying. If you haven't seen Top 10 Scariest FNAF Animatronics, the first part, go check it out because I talk about Reaper Puppet and it's one of the scariest animatronics in that whole series, but also in the whole like FNAF world, even including the fan games. Like, oh my god. I said that the Reaper Puppet looks like a weird version of Jeff the Killer, and I'm not wrong. The whole series is populated by messed up versions of the original animatronics, like Withered Toy animatronics and the Reaper animatronics like I mentioned earlier, which are the ones appearing in the third game alongside the Reaper Puppet. And Reaper Balloon Boy looks like something I've actually seen in my nightmares before I've ever heard of these games. The third game in the series, which is the one I'm most familiar with, has you literally literally staying in your hospital room when the animatronics attack, which is incredibly rude. Like, come on, man, I'm recovering, but you're still going to invade my personal space like that? Well, yes, in that game you need to survive until morning. Time doesn't actually move if you're awake. You actually need to sleep in order to make any progress, which means that you're going to be leaving yourself vulnerable to attacks. It's an incredible game mechanic, and with terrifying animatronics, it's an interesting way that the series could have gone. But if it went this way, oh man, I'd be playing it a lot more. And at 5, TURMOIL. I know you guys were saying that I'm saying that wrong, but I don't know how to say it normally, so. Faced with dangerous robotic abominations, the player has to survive 10 nights of terror and panic, while all you have to defend yourself is a rusty old desktop and your own reflexes. You are challenged by a whole host of robotic monstrosities, but the thing is, they used to be your friends. Who are you? Where are you? And what the hell is going on? You'll just have to figure that one out yourself. The reason I found out about this game is because of a Reddit thread that said that this game had one hell of a messed up story, but they didn't really use that language. They used more vulgar language. The story of the game should be discovered for yourself, so I'm not going to spoil it. But the game ties itself into the lore of the first 4 FNAF games, not including Sister Location or the Silver Eyes because they hadn't been announced when this game was released. But I mean, they should have expected it because Scott releases a new game like every other month. Well, not anymore. He used to. We remember the days. And at 4, Bonnie Simulator 2. Ever wanted to kill kids? Okay, ever wanted to kill kids in video games? Well, how about killing a security guard while you travel instantaneously from camera to camera while he tries to survive? Well, if the latter tickled your fancy, you probably wanted to play as an animatronic. Well, in the series of animatronic simulator games, you play as one specific animatronic. In Bonnie Simulator 2, you play as either Toy Bonnie or Withered Bonnie in the FNAF 2 location, where you travel from camera to camera trying to attack the guard. However, they made the game more difficult, so the guard is pretty smart and is actually good at the game. They should have like difficulties where you like fight against YouTubers, you know? Like a Markiplier difficulty, a Daco difficulty, MadPat, you know. The big FNAF YouTubers should be difficulties. I don't think it's in production anymore, but if someone wants to do it, be my guest. That idea is free. You're welcome. I usually charge a hefty sum. And at 3 is Shadow Over Freddy's, a tableau FNAF game with the ability to explore the entire pizzeria. You have different objectives instead of the typical gameplay, and the whole exploration thing has got to be inspired by that Game Lab episode of FNAF. The way you complete these nights is by completing objectives, not surviving until 6 AM. You have no power to hinder you, but you also have no time to save you. Plus, the game is in black and white, which makes it all the more terrifying. Not being able to see the colors of the animatronics means you will be questioning every single little thing about this game. Is that an animatronic or am I just seeing things? Is that the light or is that something that's gonna kill me? Did I fart or was that an animatronic? You'll never know. And where the hell is the fan? I don't know. Oh, fan. The scariest part of this is that you're not done until you complete your objective. No biding your time, no cowering in fear, you need to move or you're gonna die. It's terrifying. And at 2, Super FNAF. Remember FNAF World? Yeah, I wish I didn't either. However, if you were to try and play through FNAF 57, Freddy in Space, in a 16-bit pixelized version, would you do it? I think we all know that that's the best FNAF game in the series. Super FNAF is a 16-bit platformer game released on October 23rd, 2016, and it tries to pay homage to the original FNAF world where it drew its inspiration. There's an arcade mode, a story mode, a free play mode, side quests, and so much more. But there isn't a secret objective to gather clocks and set up clues for the real world for you to discover in FNAF 3. Wait, what if there is and just no one's discovered it yet? No, it doesn't exist. However, it would give the game some replay value, just trying to find it over and over again. The story mode contains 6 nights and has you guiding the original animatronics through the FNAF 1 pizzeria in platforming fun that will remind you of the classic Super Mario and FNAF combined. Definitely try it out, even if you don't like platformers, because like it's FNAF, and we all love FNAF. Finally, and at number 1, Pop Goes. A story based on the first 3 FNAF games, Pop Goes, like many others, is about a competitor and successor in a way to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. A year after the fire at Fazbear Fright, a rich and creative inventor in England, only known as Fritz, has taken the role of continuing the animatronic pizza brand with its own restaurant called Pop Goes Pizzeria. They had extremely advanced robotics, but nothing like possessed animatronics walking around because they had kids stuffed inside them and then their souls got infused with their bodies, thus creating like soul metal remnant. Yeah, nothing like that. This pizzeria was far ahead of its time. 3D printers in every room, and touchscreen devices for the kids. It was a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but better and without the child murder we all expect. But Fritz never built the place for the customers. He built it for himself. And as a night guard, you're part of the scheme. So let's get started and help Fritz out. Some observant viewers may have noticed that the name Fritz seems fairly familiar. It was actually the name that Mike used in the first FNAF game, and it was the name of the child who got stuffed into Foxy, as we know from the gravestone ending and it being in the same position of the good ending in FNAF 3. What could this man be doing? Is his name actually Fritz? Does he know Fritz? Is he related to Fritz? You'll have to play it yourself to find out.
Number 10. The Withered. What if you could play a version of the FNAF games where all the animatronics were severely withered? Would you dare? This is a fan-made game that a few developers have been working on to make happen, and it's definitely one that I would love to play. I personally think the Withered and Nightmare animatronics are some of the most scary versions that we have in-game, so to see a whole series where everything is withered sounds pretty terrifying to me. If you love getting jump scared to the point that you can't sleep at night, this is probably a fan-made game that you also need in your life. Also, what if the Withereds were more active in-game? That would also be a cool idea, no? Number 9. LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's 1. This is a game that is currently being developed on Game Jolt. I just love the premise and design of the characters. The idea? It's a one-for-one copy of the original game, but with LEGO versions of all the animatronics. So if you love LEGO and you love FNAF, this one's for you. I especially love in the trailer how Bonnie just takes off their head to reveal the endo underneath, like it's a mask. Because I mean, you can do that with LEGOs. So neat. LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's is actually a mod for the original, I believe, or it's intended to be, which is how it works to be an exact one-for-one. So the only thing you need to do is actually own the original to play this version. And then of course wait for the mod, and then download the mod, and then put it in. So a few more things. And friends, before we move on to this next point, if you are loving this list and you want to learn more about awesome fan-made games that we are expecting or that we'd love to see, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. FNAF Origins. Something that has always fascinated me when it comes to the FNAF franchise is the figure of William Afton. He's so mysterious and there is still so much we don't know about him. Why does he kill? What motivates him? When and how did that all start? To uncover this, I would love to have a game that dives deep into William's backstory, his origins, and the lore surrounding him. It doesn't have to be so on the nose, but just a game that even hinted at the motivations for this character would be cool. It could also be something more abstract, where we don't play explicitly as William, but simply a character that represents him. Though really, if I gotta pick, I would prefer something a touch more literal, as we already have lots of illusions in the franchise left to unpack and decode already. Number 7. LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I think this is one of my personal favorites when it comes to LEGO FNAF fan-made trailers we've gotten thus far. Something about how creepy it manages to be while still being LEGO versions of the animatronics, that combined with the silliness of what a LEGO phone guy would sound like, which I love by the way, it's just magical. Give me all the LEGO everything, and especially LEGO FNAF 2. Also, is it weird that I still find these LEGO models really scary in FNAF 2? Like genuinely, these models creep me out. Maybe it has to do with how many LEGOs I have lurking around my home. Definitely keeping a closer eye on them moving forward. Number 6. FREDBEAR'S Diner Family Vacation. We have seen quite a few games that are focused on FREDBEAR'S Diner and use the location as a backdrop for a game similar to the general formula of FNAF. But what about a game that deviates from that formula? What I would love to see is a game where instead of playing as a security guard there, we maybe get to play in the role of someone who is staying nearby. I have this vision of a family on vacation, perhaps at a campsite near FREDBEAR'S, who goes there every day for meals throughout the week. For some reason, I've always envisioned FREDBEAR'S as being more remote in terms of its location. I don't know if that's just me. In this game, as the family continues to visit the diner, things get more and more strange until eventually their lives seem to be at peril. Will you escape or end up as the first victims of FREDBEAR'S Diner? Sure, this might not fit within the main continuity, but hey, it's a fan game, so it doesn't have to. Number 5. Five Nights at Circus Baby's. Haven't you always wanted to go to Circus Baby's Pizza World? I know I have. This is what this game would be all about. Circus Baby is one of my favorite characters in the games, and once again, it would be so cool to travel back in time to see her origins and also perhaps see what happened to Elizabeth. I imagine the format for this could be similar to the others, with maybe the 5th night taking place during an actual shift where the place is open in the evening for a birthday party. As a security guard, you are tasked with making sure the animatronics don't step out of line, but obviously in the end you fail. Or maybe you don't. There's the possibility for an alternate ending here where, contrary to lore, you save Elizabeth and you end up a hero. That would also be super cool. Not all horror games need to have tragic endings after all, or at least not all ending options need to be tragic. Number 4, Pork Chop's Horror Show. We've been waiting for this one for a while. Initially it was cancelled and it became uncancelled, and yet we've still been waiting for over a year since then for it to be released. In this game you are a contestant on a twisted game show of sorts where you must survive the murderous animatronic Pork Chop to win prizes, money, and fame. It takes place in what I assume is a potentially trap-filled meat factory where you run the risk, just by competing, of ending up as dead meat. Pun intended. I don't know if we'll ever get this game, but it's certainly the much darker take on FNAF that I think we all need. Number 3, LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's 3. I love that LEGO FNAF 3 is also point number 3. Of course, I am also excited for the third installment of LEGO FNAF, this one possibly even more so than the other two because of just how frightening LEGO Springtrap is. Something about how much faster he seems to move in this trailer and just how toned down yet still somehow spooky he remains. LEGO FNAF 3 takes us into Fazbear Fright, the horror attraction, but LEGOifies the whole thing. We've gotten a trailer so far where, just like in LEGO FNAF 2, everything seems to be LEGOified. So it's not just Springtrap, but actually the whole location, down to every single detail, including the drawings, pictures, and posters on the wall. I love that attention to detail in those games. Number 2, The Incident. What do we really want? What do we really want? We want a game that helps to shed some light on an evening that has haunted us for many years. Or perhaps not just one evening, but a period of time. Although it is alluded to as being a single evening as well. That is the night when the 5 victims of William Afton went missing. I would love a game where you are perhaps playing as one of those 5. Perhaps you even get to choose who you want to play as, and each character's story is slightly different when it comes to gameplay. You know how the night ends, you know you're doomed, but you get to participate and witness as the horrible story of that night unfolds. I also just love playing through horror games where I kinda know I'm doomed. Number 1, real LEGO FNAF. Well, we have 3 games that are currently in the works in regards to LEGO mods or versions of FNAF. The only thing is that these aren't original and sanctioned LEGO versions of the FNAF games. Important to be clear there. So fans of the LEGO games in general, which follow their own formula, might be disappointed in those previously mentioned ones. Fans of that series of games will likely need something more attuned to the LEGO games that they already own. In order for this to happen though, we would need LEGO to come on board. So this wouldn't so much be, I guess, a fan-made game as a sanctioned game working with the franchise, unless of course the people that were working on it were also fans, and then even though it would be more professionally made, it would still technically be made by fans as well. Technically, I guess any professional game, if you love it, you're a fan, so it's still a fan-made game? Whoa.
And at 10, Final Nights. While originally this number was meant to be the Willy's Wonderland fan game, I couldn't find any information on it, and nobody who played this game included links in their description. Yet if we don't put a link to something we play, everyone flips out on us. No matter the double standard, Final Nights is much more fitting game for this list. The Final Nights series as a whole is pretty inventive. Starting off the series with Mike Schmidt fleeing the FNAF 1 pizzeria after it's losing power, but it being followed by a mysterious entity that escaped from Freddy called the Brother, and then escalates from there, eventually adding the Reaper animatronics and the mechanics of actually having to sleep to pass time in FNAF 3, ironically the same game the Reapers are introduced. The animatronics are scary, the story is scary, and it's all honestly more disturbing than the original game, and I think that's something that we can all appreciate. And at 9, Before the Good Memory. Before the Good Memory is a FNAF fan game made by GameJolt user Mr. Rybizzle. In this game you play as Richard, who is working at Fredbear's Family Diner working to save up money to go to Junior's for his son's birthday. I'm assuming that it's the Juniors from Midnight Motorist. But as the GameJolt page puts it, it doesn't go good. The only 2 animatronics in the game are Spring Bonnie and Golden Spring Freddy, aptly named Fredbear, because, you know, it's Fredbear. But features helping on the office desk, which I don't think would happen, but hey, whatever, it's a fan game. After entering the office in this free roam diner, the player activates the animatronics that will begin free roaming and will charge at the player when seen, but you can lean around corners and turn your flashlight off to minimize your visibility. The game is definitely an interesting one and a different take on gameplay, and the sound design is good as well, making the jump scares really hit. And at 8, the Twisted Carnival. When 5 children are mysteriously found dead unexplainably after a ride on a Ferris wheel, it's obvious that something strange is happening, and the secrets must be uncovered. Working as a night guard at King's Carnival has its perks, like getting unfettered access to the park during the day, but during work hours, expect to spend long nights fending off Bear Hug and his gang of mechanical husks as you plunge deeper into the darkness of the Twisted Carnival. Can you solve the mystery? The Twisted Carnival is made by GameJolt user Galva_ and includes everything you love about a FNAF game. Multiple angles, a big door, or in this case a window, mini games, and terrifying animatronics. There is currently only a demo available, but nonetheless these animatronics are hella spooky. With characters like Foxtrot, Bonzo, Bear Hug, Chixie, and there is bound to be plenty of horror come the full game release, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm certainly not going to be playing it, but others will. And at 7, Baby's Nightmare Circus. This time you've gotten lost in your mind. You're trapped, unable to wake and remember. Best guess is to defend yourself in your dreadful sleep. Use your flashlight to ward off unwanted creatures. Venture to tents to explore. Find a way out. Created by Mixless on GameJolt, this is probably the scariest FNAF fan game based on Baby and the Funtime animatronics from what I've seen. These things are messed up, and the story will send shivers down your already shaking spine just from looking at these screenshots. If you love Sister Location and the Funtime animatronics, take this game for a spin, because it's basically the Dark Carnival before the Dark Carnival was a real thing. It's great. It's also ironic that I'm saying about this one and not the Twisted Carnival, but that's Twisted, not Dark. And at 6, Twisted Reality. Created by GameJolt user PanPie, Twisted Reality is based on the second novel of the official FNAF series, The Twisted Ones, but is featuring other fan-made animatronics such as Twisted Fredbear instead of the official Twisted animatronics. The game was cancelled as the developer lost interest in the game, however, he is now currently making a reboot of the game called Twisted Reality Returns. The game takes place in Fazbear's Frightening Museum, where you're the, you guessed it, night guard who has to defend themselves from the dangerous Twisted animatronics buried underground. But during the day, while they may not come out, they still track you. The game currently has 3 animatronics, and the player must use different ways to defend themselves. The player has a TV and a security monitor. While TV is used to check on infected Freddy's, the player can use the security monitor to check on Twisted Fredbear. The power supply is limited, so the player must make sure to shut off their TV to cool down the generators. There is also a flamethrower feature in camera 3B in the monitor as well. This can be used to ward off any attackers, because, you know, it's fire. And the Twisted animatronics are some of the most terrifying ones that we've been described, so it's bound to be fun. Halfway through in at number 5, Golden Memory. Golden Memory, now Golden Memory Remastered, is a fan game created by GameJolt user Wester and features some damn good graphics from what I've been seeing. So if that's your cup of tea, I'd suggest that game for you. The game takes place at FREDBEAR'S Family Diner in 1983 and features 4 animatronics: Spring Bonnie, Fredbear, Freddy, and Bonnie, all with different mechanics, but also simple to send away. The jump scares are scary, and while the gameplay is simple, with animatronics appearing in your office and you needing to click a button to make them go away, when they do appear in your office, it's terrifying. Trust me, play it for yourself and you'll end up yourself. But yeah, play it for yourself, I'm not doing it. And at 4, Porkchop's Horror Show. Created by GameJolt user Fiznom, who is the one developing FNAF Plus as part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, Porkchop's Horror Show is a mix of free-roam point-and-click horror with the classic FNAF survival thrown in there to spice things up. Welcome, dear contestant, to the experience of a lifetime inside the reinforced walls of Porkchop's Horror Show, where the brave and mentally unstable alike come to throw their lives away for the promise of money, prizes, and fame. Relatable. Survive the winding corridors of the haunted meat factory, where our mechanical but maniacal friend Porkchop will hunt you down and make you wish your death were as quick and painless as a simple jump scare. However, the game is currently on hold since they're prioritizing FNAF Plus, which is understandable, but nevertheless this looks horrifying, and if you want a taste, you can play Porkchop's Adventure, which is a separate GameJolt game, but still by Fiznom. And at 3, Five Nights at Fredbear's 3. Welcome to FREDBEAR'S Family Diner, also known as Williams Restaurant, a new pizzeria burger restaurant based off the old FREDBEAR'S Family Diner and Fredbear and Friends. You work as a security guard from 12 AM to 6 AM and fend off animatronics for 5 nights. Not only that, you have to stay until 7 AM to conduct repairs on the animatronics too. You have 5 days until the party, so let's get ready. Five Nights at Fredbear's 3 is getting a free roam remaster coming soon, and the game currently has a demo available as well and features your favorite killer animatronics, and more, with new infected variants on the originals from what I've seen in gameplay videos. At least, if they weren't lying. The game is being made by Jordan is Grade 505, which pains me to say because that's my sister's name, on GameJolt, and the demo was released 6 months ago, but they still post regularly on GameJolt, link on their GameJolt page, so you can follow them if you'd like updates. The game looks absolutely horrific and wonderful, but again, I'm not gonna play it. You can. Penultimate lean in number 2, Dormitibus. Dormitibus is a fan game that was developed by Blackout, Own Trick, Steven Mater, and Super Arthur Bros. Faced with dangerous robotic abominations, the player has to survive 10 nights of terror and panic. The only thing that you're given to defend yourself is an old dusty desktop computer and your own reflexes. The player is challenged by a whole horde of robotic monstrosities who, ironically enough, used to be the protagonist's friends. This game is absolutely nuts, and the story is some of the darkest that I've seen. The game was made before the release of FNAF 4, so only includes details from the first 3 games, but it only needs those. Jesus Christ, if you're into some up then play this game, because there is gore galore. Okay, with animatronics constantly showing decaying muscle and blood and the muscles like stretch. Oh my god. If you've seen any of the alternate animatronic lists on this channel, then you'll have seen the Havoc animatronics or Garvey, this game's version of Springtrap, and just dear god, this was also made before the William Afton name reveal, so there are a lot of things that are different to the main series. If that's what you're into, it's messed up. It's hella messed up, man. I'm telling you. Finally, in at number 1, The Joy of Creation. While Dormitibus may be disturbing, nothing can be as scary as The Joy of Creation. Both the free romance story modes are horrifying. Created by Nixon on GameJolt, it's no wonder why this game was added to the Fazbear Fanverse. It's the night of August 8th, 2016, and Five Nights at Freddy's second anniversary has passed. Celebrated worldwide, the hit indie horror series and its creator have made themselves a place in modern culture and the hearts of many. In this game, you play through the eyes of Scott Cawthon and his family, as they try to survive inside their own home on the dreadful night that brought the horror into reality. The scorched beings, whose origin and motives are yet unknown, find secrets lurking in the house and uncover the mysterious events that led to the cancellation of the next game in the series. You play in our world, up against ignited versions of our favorite animatronics. How is that not terrifying? You'll be in for a treat when playing this game. Each level has its own gameplay type, so it's not the same thing every night, and it's incredible. If you haven't played it, I highly suggest that you do. I haven't played it, but I've watched it. The fact that it's in our world just makes it so messed up. And you're playing as Scott, and now he announced his retirement, which only makes this more real. And it's not okay.
Number 10, Five Nights at Candy's. Five Nights at Candy's is another big FNAF fan game franchise, and this first one was simply the beginning of this spin-off franchise. Like some other games, Five Nights at Candy's also makes mention of Freddy's Pizza, but in this game, the restaurant no longer remains competitive because it's already been shut down. The design for Candy's and these animatronics also remains pretty frightening. Although I will say, I think overall FNAF is more scary if we're just talking about the first Candy's game at least. The main characters at Candy's are cat animatronics Cindy and Candy, but they also have lots of other disturbing and in some cases bizarrely cute friends join them. Like some of these animatronics are nightmare fuel, and then other ones I'm like, I kinda wanna be friends with that animatronic. Number 9, Five Nights at Flumpty'S 2. I think one of the best things about Five Nights at Flumpty'S overall is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. But the other thing that is really amazing about it is it's actually scary as well. It's like a parody game that will make you chuckle but will also haunt your nightmares at the same time. While the original game was more in the vein of Five Nights at Freddy's in terms of its formula, Flumpty'S 2 pushes the envelope even more, resulting in a more weird and horrifying experience for players in comparison to that first game. Just look at the room you start in after all, like what is even happening here? I'm not exactly sure about everything that's going on, but I definitely know it's not good. I also just think the mechanics in the game really add to the level of paranoia you feel while playing, like the laptop restart, which you have to go through every time you fully exhaust your laptop battery. Well, look looking at the security monitors. So don't do that. Don't let your laptop die. Also, it's not good for your laptop. Real facts though. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn about more scary FNAF fan games, you know that there are so many. There are so many we could talk about. So be sure to let us know that you love it by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, Pop Goes. Pop Goes has a new game that should be coming out with the FNAF extended universe with the FNAF Fanverse initiative. But while you wait, Pop Goes and Pop Goes Arcade are still available to play. I believe Pop Goes is where it all started, and it's a game created in the style of FNAF where you work at Pop Goes Pizzeria as a nighttime security guard. Pop Goes' main animatronic, you guessed it, is a weasel. A creepy weasel that throughout the night will sneak away to grab animatronic parts so that he can build his own horrifying creation. The game also features a panic meter which you have to keep low by looking out the window. Ah, so relaxing looking out the window. Watching the panic meter increase is enough to make me actually panic in this game. Number 7, Pork Chop's Horror Show. Pork Chop's Horror Show is an unreleased FNAF fan game where players attempt to survive a horror game show, risking their lives in exchange for the chance at winning fabulous money and prizes. The overall design of this game and characters look pretty terrifying, which is why, despite it not being released yet, many fans of the FNAF franchise were still excited to see and play it. Of course, it has been in development for a long time and has even been cancelled at least once, only for the promise of it to return to us, those of us who are eagerly awaiting its release. If it is ever released, it will be a combination of point and click mechanics and free roam. Until it does, we only have the stills, preview, and promise of it to keep us going. However, it is also part of the FazBear Fanverse initiative. Scott Cawthon announced on Reddit that its developer FizzNom would be bringing an original reimagining of FNAF to the FNAF verse. Although this game wasn't necessarily listed, a lot of us are like, that's gotta be Pork Chop's Horror Show. So who knows, it could still end up happening. Keep those fingers crossed, my friends. Number 6, Those Nights at Rachel's. Is this game just a better FNAF game? In my opinion, sort of. In this game, you are a security guard at Rachel's where you must try to survive through the entire night shift and prevent the animatronics from attacking you. The game was made in Unreal Engine by the popular and accomplished FNAF fan game designer extraordinaire Nick Som, who also designed another horrifying FNAF fan game you may have heard of, The Joy of Creation, and others within that series. So yeah, that's the level we're at with this. Some of the animatronics featured in Those Nights at Rachel's I actually find more horrifying to gaze upon in comparison to the core animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's. The other thing I love about this game in terms of the horror elements when it comes to the game's story is that it actually takes place in the same world as FNAF, at least in the story it's mentioned. Freddy's is mentioned as being a problematic restaurant down the street whose controversies and scandals are actually negatively impacting Doug's and Rachel's business as well. Good old Doug's and Rachel's. Number 5, Five Nights at Candy's 4. Because in the world of FNAF fan games, some of these games have become so popular, they've even created their own series of games. There is just a very real demand for really good FNAF fan games. And Five Nights at Candy's was one of the breakouts when it came to being considered one of the best. Despite the fact that I ranked the first game in the series a little bit lower on this list, it's only because each game has really only improved on the creep factor here. FNAF 4 is not released yet, but appears just from the stills and the teasers on its Game Jolt page to be one of the most terrifying in that series yet. Five Nights at Candy's has also been welcomed into the FNAF extended universe by Scott Cawthon himself, joining the FazBear Fanverse initiative. Number 4, Final Nights 3, Nightmares Awaken. I think this one deserves to be so high up just for like the game's location. It takes place at a hospital and you must try to survive and somehow sleep while also dealing with Reaper animatronics, which is about as scary as you can imagine. Also, hospitals in general are just scary. In fact, it actually might not even be scarier than you're imagining if you haven't played this game before, so you need to go play it. Something as well about the idea of sleeping while all this madness is going on just breaks my brain in a way. Like, I don't want to sleep if there are things hiding in my closet. I don't want to do that. How am I supposed to sleep knowing that these Reapers are out there wanting to probably tear me apart? And every time I wake up, I'm probably gonna get die. That's what's about to happen. I'm like, I can't sleep. Number 3, The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is the game that started it all for this franchise. It was inspired by Boogeyman and FNAF 4. Here you play as Scott Cawthon himself, fending off animatronics who seem to be attempting to scare and threaten you to encourage you, I guess, to make even more animatronics or even more games. The Joy of Creation has some very disturbing designs when it comes to the the animatronics. And although the game is simple, it's very well put together. The character of Scott in this game also seems to be a bit like William in the sense that he also apparently has animatronics and is warned at the beginning of the game that if he doesn't replace the mainframes on his animatronics, they're going to be like a danger to those that they perform for. So he seems to also be a builder of animatronics. This game, I believe, was only ever developed as a demo before it was abandoned, but if you love it and you find it as terrifying as I do, you can check out the finished and remastered version, The Joy of Creation Reborn. Number 2. Five Nights at Treasure Island. Five Nights at Treasure Island was possibly one of the first fan games ever made based off of the FNAF franchise, and I gotta say, it's a pretty good one. It still holds up to this day. This one blended together the mechanics of FNAF with the oh so cursed world of Disney. At least we all like to imagine the world of Disney is cursed. I don't know how cursed it is in real life. In Five Nights at Treasure Island, you face off against animatronics at Old Treasure Island, which are Disney icons including Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy, or really messed up versions of them. Another interesting and disturbing part of Treasure Island is that the animatronics, or toons in this case, are all super twisted in some way. Honestly, in retrospect, this game reminds me now of a combination of Bendy and the Ink Machine mixed with FNAF. Number 1. The Joy of Creation Story Mode. I feel like The Joy of Creation has elements of FNAF 4, but if it was like maybe even scarier. This fan game is meant to be a follow-up that goes through what happens after Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Now of course, this is a fan game, so none of this is really considered canon, but it does a great job of encapsulating the feel of the FNAF universe and the lore, which is why a lot of fans will sometimes even consider it as part of the world when reflecting on certain characters and certain stories. It just fits so well. What makes it scary? The sound design, the whole atmosphere, the creepy story, the animatronics. I mean, it's really got the whole package, which is why it's number 1.